here. I welcome you all to this session of heat and mass transfer. So we are right now going through Unit 1, and Unit 1, this is the third lecture for the Unit 1. Till now what we have done the basics of heat conduction, convection and radiation. Okay, very basics with some animation, very basic animations. Then what we did some laws like Fourier's law of conduction, then we did some radiation laws, then we did some convection laws. Okay, and then in last video, if you have noticed, okay, so I have actually left a particular topic for the next slide, for the next video, for the next presentation. So here I am, and here I am to present that particular topic. So that will be the beginning. Then we will again go for the refreshment of the the basics once again, because that's very much required. And but today there is something very important that I would like to tell you. The first thing is, see, I have already told in my introduction that I am a HVAC engineer. Till now I'm working as a a consultant, as a freelancing consultant to many of the organizations. So this time I will tell you a very brief that how actually you calculate the overall heat transfer coefficient for a particular wall, okay, being given any practical conditions. So I will be taking a practical wall detail with some basic animations, and then I will be telling you how professionally it could be solved, how a professional engineer actually solves it. Okay, so let's begin then. So it will be, so as you can see, there is a wall. Actually this is the example that we left in the last slide, in the last presentation. Okay, so you can just read it. Find the overall heat transfer coefficient of a flat roof having the construction shown in the figure. So the figure, if you can see, that is 20 mm of ceiling board. There's the 20 mm of ceiling board. Okay, then there is an air gap of 200 mm. Then there is a fire bat. This is the fire wall of 75 mm. And then there's a 6 mm steel girder over it, okay, just to prevent its fall and everything. Okay, so we have to calculate the overall heat transfer coefficient for this. Okay, so I will be taking an example, but first of all let me actually go through the basics, very basics once again, because if you are not going through basics, if the basics are not clear, then definitely you won't land up much ahead. Okay, so let's find out the basics and then we will go forward to it. Okay, so this was all about, and I have already told you we have to take all the resistances in series, just because everything is in series. This, then this, then this and the outside air. So all the resistances are in series, and we have discussed how to calculate the overall heat transfer coefficient, and overall heat transfer coefficient is equals to U is equals to 1 by R. Okay, so let's go for this. This was the blank table which I showed to you. Okay, now let's discuss how an engineer does it, a professional and practical way to a theoretical concept of heat transfer through composite wall. Last time I have explained you the professional last time I explained you the theoretical concept of the heat transfer through composite wall. Basically it was including the Newton's law of convection as well as the Fourier's law of conduction. But before that, let us brush up the basics. Okay, so this will help you all to understand the theoretical concept. This presentation will help you all to understand the theoretical concept of heat transfer through composite wall, to understand the way the engineers solve the real life project of heat transfer through composite wall, and that's the motive of today's presentation. Okay, so let's go for the basics. The Fourier's law of conduction. Do you all remember the last slide, the last presentation? What we did the Fourier's law of conduction. That is the most important law for the conduction as far as conduction is concerned. Okay, so the Fourier's law of conduction is here on the slide. The conduction rate equation. Okay, so this is the main thing. This is the heat. Okay, this is the area. So heat is directly proportional to the area. Okay, heat is directly proportional to delta T by delta X, and this is called the temperature gradient. Okay, the temperature gradient is basically negative. Why it is negative? Because the heat has to come all the way from here, crossing some material in between, okay, and then coming here. So the material actually absorbs the energy from the heat. So the temperature you will measure here will definitely be higher than the temperature you measure here. Okay, So that's why you find a negative sign. So the delta t by delta x dt by dx is always negative. Okay. So now what about this? Now if you remove this thing, see it is like minus dt by dx. Okay. Now if you remove this constant to proportionality, you get something like this. Okay. So this is what has been referred here. So this K is thermal conductivity, as I have discussed in the previous video. Okay. So this thermal conductivity is actually the basic property of the material. More the free electrons are present with the material, better will be its thermal conductivity, and lesser, then the lesser will be the value, means the insulator has got very less thermal conductivity, whereas the metal has got the highest thermal conductivity. Okay. So this was the conduction, the theoretical approach. Now this is what I have discussed on in the previous video of this series. Okay. So it's like thermal resistance, as I have already told you. In an electrical circuit, see, this is an electrical circuit. Okay. This is an electrical circuit. So if you see an electrical circuit, it is like the resistance. Okay, you have to establish potential difference. You have to establish potential difference across the electrical circuit. Then across the resistance, electrical resistance, the current flows. Okay. See, it's written here. It's I is equals to delta V by R. Okay. So if you talk about the electrical circuit, in electrical circuit you have to apply potential difference across its ends and across the resistance, then the charge in the form of current will actually flow. So in thermal circuit, in place of current, heat flows. So I will be replaced by Q. Okay. In thermal circuit, heat flows and there the current was flowing. Okay. Delta V means the potential difference is being replaced by delta T. As we all know, if we do not have delta T, then definitely heat won't flow. It has to be like higher level and in the lower level. And if there is no higher and lower level, definitely we know that heat won't flow. Okay. Then after that, then if this is the thing, then what's the thing? Now if we take about the thermal circuit, so the electrical resistance is now being replaced by the thermal resistance. Okay. So anything in format of I is equals to delta V by R, in thermal circuit it will be Q delta T by R. So if we arrange everything in this format, whatever is left, we will get that value as the resistance. So if we look at here, this is the thermal conductivity. Okay. This is the Fourier's law of conduction. So in Fourier's law of conduction, see, Ka T1 minus T2, that was the delta T, and this was the thickness L. Okay. So if it is done like this, then we know if we arrange it in this format, delta T by R, then this is delta T, this is Q. So L by Ka remaining will be the resistance. Is it all clear? So L by Ka, since we have put it in this format, delta T by R is equals to Q. Okay. So delta T is there. Okay. Q is here. So the remaining L by Ka is the thermal resistance for the conduction. Okay. Now let's talk about for Newton's law of cooling, Newton's law of convection. Okay. Newton's law of convection tells us, this is the formula. I have already discussed it in my previous video. Okay. So Newton's law of convection is HA delta T. Okay. Now just put it in this format once again. Just put it in this format once again. So what will be the format then? See, this is the delta T, this is the Q. So what's remaining? The remaining is R convection. So it is 1 by HA. Okay. So if you put it in that format, you will get the thermal resistance for convection. This is the thermal resistance for conduction. Okay. So this is how you do it. This is a solid wall. Okay. This has a surface temperature, this has an ambient temperature, this has a surface area, this has a convective coefficient, the air outside the wall has a convective coefficient H. And then what do you do? Suppose it is only showing the convective because there is no K here, there is no thickness here. Suppose it is in series, then it will be like this. Okay, so this is Ts, this is T infinity, then this will be L by K, here it is X, so it is X by Ka, and just hold on. Okay, so no problem. It is, let me just write it like this. This is X by Ka and this is 1 by Ha. Okay, so this is all about the thermal resistance concept. So you need to remember the convection resistance is 1 by Ha. This is R convection, and L by Ka is the thermal resistance for conduction, while putting this into this format, that is Q is equals to delta T by R, and Q is equals to delta T by R has come from here, that is I is equals to delta V by R. So this is called thermal analogy. This is called electrical analogy to thermal resistance circuit. Okay, so this is the same thing. See what I was explaining it, to you in the previous slide. It's here. See, there is one wall here, there is an insulation here, so there are two conductivities here. There is a temperature inside, there is a temperature outside. Okay, the heat is flowing per unit area. Okay, so it has got one H here, it has got one H here. So look at it. First of all, the convection. So the first particular thing will be here. So the first resistance will be due to convection. Okay, then the heat is coming across this. Okay, so it is L1 by K1. It is just we have actually excluded the area just because it is heat is equals to watts per meter square, and then the heat will be coming across this. So this is L2 by K2. Okay, L2 is the thickness, L1 is the thickness here, and K1 and K2 is up there. Okay, and then this heat is coming out and it will be encountering the fluid outside which is in motion. It has got a convective coefficient. So the next resistance will be 1 by H2. So now, as I have already told you in the beginning, in the previous video, that if you sum all the resistances, this is the resistance. Okay, if you sum all the resistance and if you try to reciprocal this, okay, if you try to calculate the reciprocal this, then you will get a U value. The U value is overall heat transfer coefficient, the overall heat transfer coefficient whose unit is watts per meter square Kelvin. Okay, so and we all know it's the general formula, Q is equals to U delta T. Actually it should be UA delta T, but since U is per meter square, so area has already been taken into consideration. Okay, so this was all about the basics. C is the U value, that is U is equals to 1 by R. Okay, it's an imperial system. Okay, now let's solve a problem then. Okay, so the problem says a composite slab is made up of 3 layers, 15 centimeters, 10 centimeters and 12 centimeters thickness. The first layer of material with thermal conductivity 1.45 for 60% of the area, and the rest is of the material with conductivity of 2.5 watts per meter Kelvin. Full stop. The second layer is made of material with conductivity of 12.5 watts per meter Kelvin for 50% of the area. Okay, and of material with conductivity 18.5 watts per meter Kelvin is used for the other 50%. Okay, I will tell you what do we mean by 50% of the area and all, 60% of the area and all. I will just show you. It's coming after this slide. Okay, the third layer is of single material of thermal conductivity of 0.76 watts per meter Kelvin. This is a complete area, it's 100% of the area. I will tell you in the next video. Full stop. The slab is exposed on one side to warm air at 26 degrees Celsius and to cold air at minus 20 degrees Celsius on the other side. Full stop. The convection coefficients are 15 and 20 watts per meter square Kelvin. See, this is H, this is H. Okay, 15 and 20. Okay, these are conductivities. So you should remember K unit of thermal conductivity is watts per meter Kelvin. Okay, and H, its unit is watts per meter square Kelvin. Okay, so whatever it has a name, in the numerical. You should not get confused. You should look at the unit, so you will have an idea what the numerical is talking about, means what kind of value it has given in the numerical, to which particular nomenclature it persists. Okay, so let's go ahead. Coefficients are 15 and 20 watts per meter square Kelvin. So I have already told you, looking at the unit, it is just the H, and on the inside and outside respectively. Okay, so it is HI and HO if we talk about inside, suffix I for inside and O for the outside. Okay, full stop. Determine the heat flow and the interface temperatures. Okay, that's an interesting thing, the interface temperatures and the heat flow. Heat flow, definitely you all know that first of all you need to calculate the resistances, you need to reciprocal it, you will get U, and then Q will be U A delta T. So guys, this is what we need to do in every numerical, in all the numerical which you will come across. Okay, so let's talk about its solution. This is part 1 of the solution. Okay, we will definitely go for the second part of the solution. Okay, so see, as I was already telling you, that this is the 40%. Okay, this is the 50%, this is the 50%, and this is the 60%. Now what do I mean by 50%, 60% and all those things? See, 40%, see, if this particular height is being, actually suppose this is the area. Okay, if this area is now being divided, suppose okay, let me first draw it. Suppose if this is the isometric view, right, it's better I can I make a drawing. Okay, if this is an isometric view of a wall and I am telling you that a material having K1 occupies 60% of the area, suppose this is K1. Okay, it should be a bit more. Okay, so this is 60% of the area, so this has a thermal conductivity K1, and the remaining of the material is having thermal conductivity K2, which occupies 40% of the area. So this is K2, so this occupies 60% of area, this occupies 40% of area. Okay, this was all about. So if we talk about 50%, the same thing will come again. I am drawing an isometric view. Okay, 50% here, so this is 50%, this is having K1, and this is 50% once again, so this is having K2. So the area is 50%, 0.5 here, and this is 0.5 here. Okay, so this was the concept which I wanted to explain you. Okay, so this is basically, this is a parallel resistance equivalent you need to find out. This is again a parallel resistance equivalent you need to find out, and this is a series. So heat will actually come and encounter this resistance first. Okay, this is a convective resistance. Okay, then it will come across this parallel duo. Okay, you need to calculate the equivalent resistance for this. Then the heat will come into this duo, this is again in parallel. Okay, and then it will come to this, the E portion. Okay, it will be in series, everything is in series, only thing is this and this duo are in parallel to each other, and if you connect them in series you need to calculate the equivalent resistance, and then this is the second convection. Okay, so here it is H2, here it is H1, this is 26, this is minus 20. So how you do it? This is the simple concept. See, R equivalent 1, R equivalent 2. So this is the R convection 1, this is 1 by H. Okay, this is RA, C. In terms of R, conduction is L by Ka, and area is 0.6. 0.6 of 1, suppose 60%. Okay, so the complete total will be 100%, so it is 0.6, so area is 0.6. So here, okay, so this is how you will calculate RB. RB is 40%. Okay, then the RC is coming up. This is the C part. So the C part will be coming as, it is having the area of 50%. So this RC will have the area of 0.5. Okay, now the RD will also have an area of 0.5 because they are sharing 50% of the area. The duo is sharing the 50% of the area, and then this has the complete area, so this is 1. You can see it's 1. Okay, so you have calculated, and this is the convection once again, the external convection resistance. So this is basically again 1 by HA. Okay, so this is done. So if you calculate all these, then you will come to know, see this is the R equivalent, this is R equivalent 2, okay. So you know how to calculate the parallel resistances, okay. So you add up all these, you will get this value. Then you know delta T, I have already explained you the format, that is Q is equals to delta T by R, okay. So this is that formula. So you will get the amount of heat transferred, okay. So you will get the amount of heat transferred here, okay. Now for the interface, what you need to do is, you know this is a steady state, okay. This is a steady state. So the steady state thing, what happens in a steady state? The heat which is coming in here, okay, the heat that is going out here will be actually same in the magnitude, because it is not changing, okay. So since it is not changing, so in every interface, okay, so in every interface you will have, like, suppose if there are two walls, if there are two components, suppose if this is T1, this is T2, and suppose this is T3, so the Q that is entering here will be equal to the Q that is exiting, okay. So Q is equals to, first of all, it is like T1 minus T2 by R, okay. Then the same Q will come here, then it will be T2 minus T3 by R. So whichever is unknown you can calculate. So you just first calculate Q, which we have already calculated, okay. See, delta T2 by R1, calculate T1, okay, done. And then you can calculate T2 from here, from the next lab. Then you can calculate T3 from here, this equation, with the same thing it's going on. Then you can calculate T4 from this equation, okay. So the heat remains same, just you need to calculate the interface temperatures with the same format, okay, with the same format. That's it. So this was all about the theoretical concept. Now we should look at the practical approach. The practical approach means how an HVAC engineer, or how the engineers actually does it in your industries, in your consultancies, okay. And that is very much important as in terms of employabilities of the students, because nowadays is a very big concern, okay. So this is just a whip of it. So just have a concentration to this. See, it's written actual elements of a composite wall of a general building. HVAC engineers way, there's heating, ventilation and air conditioning engineers way, the professional way. So I have taken a 200 mm of brick wall, then I have taken 10 mm of inside plaster, okay. Then I have taken 10 mm of outside plaster, and this is actually means this is the actual elements, okay. If you actually build a wall for a general building, you will have these three components at least, and then you can have like tiles, you can have like insulation, waterproofing, whatever you want to do, you can definitely go for it. But then this is the inside air, okay. Now the next thing that is coming up is the outside air, okay. Now this is heat flow, okay. So the heat flow, see the outside air, suppose if we are air conditioning this particular area, this is, suppose if we are air conditioning this particular area, so if we are maintaining it in 24 degrees Celsius, which is a human comfort temperature, okay, and if suppose if we are talking about peak temperatures of Delhi, so it's 45 degrees Celsius, even more than that for some days, okay. So 45, suppose if I take it as 25, so delta T is 20 degrees Celsius, okay. It's a huge delta T. So this delta T has to be overcome, this heat has to be taken out. So this is what HVAC engineers, the heating, ventilation and air conditioning engineers, they do in the consultancy, okay. So it's a brick wall, it's a plaster, and till now what we have seen in the theory, that each and every element of wall, they actually offer resistance. Even air also offer resistance. So there is a resistance here, convection inside, there is a resistance here, convection outside, okay. Then there will be resistance here, this is our plaster inside, there will be resistance here, our plaster outside, and there will be resistance here, this is our brick wall, okay. So now we will actually the thing remains same, okay. The thing remains same, thing means the formula remains same, it's again Q is equals to delta T by R, but here what we will do the practical approach, okay. So This you won't find it in your textbooks. This you won't find it in your textbooks. So this is basically Carrier Handbook. You might have heard about John Willis Carrier. He is the founder of Carrier Air Conditioning. No, it's a reputed organization across the globe. Okay, so Carrier Air Conditioning. The only thing is that this is in IP units. This is in imperial units. So what you can see is this is the material. See, first of all, you just look at the units. Okay, it's degree Fahrenheit per British thermal units per hour square feet. Okay, so the material. So let's look about. So suppose if we have to go for if we have to take out the resistance for 200 mm of brick wall. Okay, so can you see the masonry units? Can you see the masonry units? Okay, masonry units has this thing, that is brick common. Okay, so brick common, sorry, brick common for 4 inches of thickness, it actually gives 0.8. So if you have like 8 inches, if you have like 16 inches, just multiply 0.8 by that particular multiple. Okay, particular multiplier. Okay, so you will get the resistance of that brick wall. Okay, now this is the second page of the Carrier Handbook. This is something which I am showing. This is what I am showing is not available in your general textbooks. Okay, so thermal resistances once again. Now we want to calculate the resistances for plasters. Okay, so this is cement plaster. Can you see this? Plastering materials. Okay, now this is cement plaster. Okay, and here is the cement plaster sand aggregate. Okay, so for half inches of thickness, you will get the resistance of 0.1. Now it is suppose if it is like 0.5, then this one will be applicable. Suppose if it is 1 inch, then you have to multiply it by 2 and so on. The multiplier has to be multiplied continuously to get the particular resistance for that particular thickness that is actually there on your wall. So you have to take it and you have to multiply it twice. We'll do it. Now this is the Carrier Handbook excerpt once again, but this will now take care of the inside and outside air. You can see the air spaces here. Okay, this air spaces, the heat flowing is vertical, as I've already shown you. The heat flowing is vertical. Okay, sorry, the wall position is vertical and the heat flowing is horizontal. See, what we have shown is the wall position is vertical here and the heat was flowing horizontal. Okay, so with this is the resistance. Okay, actually the thickness doesn't matter because air doesn't have any thickness if it is an open area, or if it is a closed a bigger area, thickness doesn't matter. And then this is the outside air. Okay, so this is the resistances. Okay, 10 mm plaster, 200 mm brick wall, 10 mm plaster, inside air, outside air, total resistances we have calculated. Just go for U is equals to 1 by R. You have calculated. Considering face area of 100 square feet, inside temperatures I have assumed 77 Fahrenheit and 110 degrees Fahrenheit. So the heat flow across the wall that you need to remove by air conditioning unit is 1089 BTU per hour. Okay, so this was all about. Thank you all you guys. So actually this was all about how an engineer actually solves the particular theoretical concept in a practical way, and you know, this is very much important for the employability point of view. Actually, by looking at this particular slide or by looking at this particular video, you can actually tell your employers that actually I know how the Carrier Handbooks looks like. I know how to see, where to see, and how to calculate a practical approach for the composite wall, and how to calculate the heat transfer across a wall professionally. Thank you all. So thanks. Okay.